why great offers help you to stop selling and start creating people who are ready to buy. Now, in the last episode of this mini series, we spoke about becoming a category of one. And we spoke about what happens when you stop trying to fit in and you start becoming undeniable. We spoke about leadership, owning your story, owning your beliefs, owning your philosophy, owning what makes you different. And then making a decision that you're going to stop competing and instead start leading. Because now you understand how to become a category of one, a new question appears. How do you actually help people to understand the value of what you do? Because here's the reality. You can be the best coach in the world, or the best consultant, or the best educator, or service provider. You can be the best there has ever been. But if people don't understand what you do, how you help people, and why your approach is different and maybe more aligned to them, then they're never going to buy. And that's where most people fuck up, because they mislabel things. They think they've got a sales problem. I don't believe you do. I don't believe many people have a sales problem. I believe there's a certainty problem. Because when somebody feels certain about something, they buy. When they feel uncertain, they hesitate, they delay, they tell you that they need to think about it, they'll ask a ton more questions, and then maybe they end up disappearing and ghosting you. Now, most people will try and respond to that by trying to become better at sales. Learning more scripts, learning more objection handling, more closing techniques, learning how to influence and persuade people. I just think it's the wrong solution. I don't think your goal should be to become better at trying to convince people. You're a service provider. You're not a high-ticket closer, so why not just have a service-led approach? But also, the goal is to help people to make the best decision for themselves. And those are two completely different things. So let me explain. The traditional way of selling coaching services or services in general looked a little bit like this. So you create content, you send some messages, maybe you run some ads, you generate some leads, and then you try to get somebody into a sales call as quick as you can, because you think more calls equal more sales opportunities. And then on that call, you spend 45 to 60 minutes, whatever it is, and you're trying to explain everything to the prospect. So your offer, your methodologies, your frameworks, your processes, your experience, the problems that they are experiencing, the solutions that you've got to those problems, the outcomes that they can achieve. Then you handle objections, overcome fears, try to establish and build the trust, and then hopefully they buy. But here's the problem. As you can probably tell by that big list of things you're trying to do on one call, you're trying to do everything on one call. You're trying to educate, you're trying to build trust, you're trying to create certainty, to instill or install beliefs, handle objections, qualifying the prospect, and making the sale. All of that happening in real time. And look, that worked years ago. It really did. And it was phenomenal. But people today are buying differently. People are more cautious. They've bought courses that didn't work out. They've hired coaches that disappointed them. They've invested in services that overpromised but underdelivered. So naturally, they're more skeptical and they're less trusting. And they're way more careful and considerate in their buying decisions. And because of that, the old sales approach just became harder. It still works, but it's not as easy as it used to be. Now, most people haven't yet recognized that. And instead, they try to focus on improving their conversion rate. So they try and go from like a 20% conversion to a 30% conversion. Or even, I want to get 40% conversion, whatever it is. Very few people are actually asking the more important question. What is the conversion rate of the entire process? So out of every lead that you generate, how many become a conversation? How many then become a sales opportunity? How many people are offered a call? How many people book a call? How many people show up to the call? How many people actually buy? The reality is there is a huge amount of drop-off at each stage of that process. And at every one of those stages, it costs you something. Time, energy, attention, and mental bandwidth. But also you lose on so much fucking money because you're shooting your shot for the sale too soon and before somebody is actually ready to buy. And all of that takes you further away from the lifestyle business that we spoke about in episode 1. Which is why I believe there's a better way. A way that creates certainty, readiness to, move forward before a sales conversation has even happened. A way to build trust before a sales conversation. A way to help people decide they want your help before you pitch your offer. Because the goal is not to get people onto calls, at least not more people onto calls. The goal is to get more people ready to buy your service before they've ever spoken to you. That's the shift. And that's where your offer comes in. Most people, I think, believe that offer is just there to explain what they sell. I don't. I believe your offer exists to create certainty in your prospects. The purpose of a great offer is to help somebody to understand exactly who you help, what problems you solve, how you solve them, what outcomes you create for people that hire you, what the journey they will go through will look like, what does the support look like that they receive throughout the service, and what results are possible for them. But also, why does it feel safe for them to be able to move forward and make the investment? Because when people clearly see the journey, they feel safe at starting it specifically with you. When people understand the process, they can trust it and make a decision if they're aligned to it. When people understand the outcomes, that's the desire for them. When they understand the support that is available for them, they stop feeling like they're taking a risk. The problem is that most business owners have never taken the time to build an offer like that. They know their service, but they haven't translated their service into certainty. And that's why the first thing we need to do is to get that clarity. So when we're building out an offer, we use something called the Opulent Insight Questionnaire. Now, the purpose of the questionnaire isn't marketing, is not, it's to understand the purpose of it. So understanding who you are, what you believe, what makes you different, who you serve, what problems you solve, what outcomes you create, what methodologies you use, why your clients hire you, what transformations you help them to achieve, what frequently asked questions or hesitations or objections do your people have that they need answering before they've been ready to buy. Because if they don't fully understand all of those things, or if you don't even understand them yourself, you're always going to struggle to communicate that to somebody else where they feel safe and ready to buy it. So that's what you must first do, get clear on all of that. And then what we do is we move into something called the 5 pillars of a high converting offer. Because once you've got a deep, thorough understanding and you have that clarity, you need a way to structure your offer so it can sell itself. So the 5 pillars help somebody to understand what the journey and the results look like with you. What are the phases of growth or milestones within the service? What are the outcomes that they will achieve? What is the risk reduction and safety mechanisms you have? What is the value? How is the support given? What is the level of commitment required from me and from them? And the timing as well. Not because we're trying to persuade anybody, but because we are helping them to make an informed decision. And when those 5 pillars are present, something very interesting happens. From the prospect's perspective, the offer stops feeling like a gamble and it starts feeling like a structured, safe decision. And then we take all of that information and we then create the offer doc around it. So it's not a sales page, it's not a pitch deck, definitely not some fucking brochure, and it's not on your website or any of that shit, okay? It is a decision making document and something a person can read and genuinely think to themselves, this makes sense. I understand it can solve the specific problems that I've got. I understand it has solutions to these problems. I understand what my journey would look like in this service. I understand what's expected from me if I join. I understand what's possible for me if I make this commitment. This feels aligned. This feels safe. It just feels right. And once you've done that, you've solved one of the biggest problems anyway. Now, the second half of what I want to cover today is how do you build trust with your audience? Because they can understand your offer. They can even understand you. But if they don't trust you, there's a problem. And this is where what we call the indoctrination series comes in. So the indoctrination series is a simple collection of videos designed to help somebody to understand who you are, what you believe, what you stand for, how you think, and then breaking down all of your methodologies. So it's an introduction to you, your methodologies, your frameworks, and then it's all of the core problems that people hire you for. And then we put this into a mini series of videos where you are actually showing, here's the problem, here's the solution. Now, this isn't to try and hard sell anybody. This is to build trust, to build belief, to build an emotional connection to you, to build resonance, and to help somebody to see that there is a better future for them. So episode by episode, problem by problem, belief by belief, eventually they arrive at a conclusion. Not because you needed to convince them, but because they convinced themselves. And that's the real power of this process. So the offer itself creates certainty. The indoctrination series creates trust, belief, and resonance in you. Now, together, that creates the exact environment where people can arrive ready to buy without needing to be sold. Now, think about how different that feels. Instead of speaking to someone who doesn't understand your offer, instead you're speaking to somebody who does. Instead of speaking to somebody who doesn't yet trust you, you're speaking to somebody that already feels a strong connection and level of trust in you. Instead of having to explain your methodologies for the first time on a call, they already arrive at the call fully aware of those and understanding, I'm here because I've made a decision, this feels right to me. Instead of booking a call where you're trying to convince them to buy, you're confirming alignment and they sell themselves. And that's why I believe this purpose of a sales call has changed. The purpose of the call isn't to convince anybody to do anything. It's to confirm that you are a good fit for each other. That's it. You're not selling, they're buying. So let's just wrap up on a couple of questions with your sales process. How much of your current sales process is spent you educating people? How much time are you spending trying to create safety and certainty? How much time are you spent trying to convince people this is the right fit for them and to buy? Could a complete stranger read your offer and understand who you are, who you help, the problems you solve, how you solve those problems, and the outcome that you could create? Do you currently have a process that builds trust and belief before the sales conversation happens? And what would change if every sales call started with trust, certainty, understanding already in place? Because I think you'd find yourself having fewer conversations, but far better conversations that actually close and you get the cash. Because each call that you can book can become a conversion call, where you are confirming the sale, collecting the payment, and essentially conducting the onboarding on that call. Don't know about you, but doesn't that sound better? Doesn't it sound more aligned? Less time consuming, less emotionally draining? I do. That's why I use it. So now you know how to become a category of one. You now understand how to create certainty, resonance, trust, and pre-sell people before the sales conversation ever even happens. The next question becomes, how do you consistently get people into that ecosystem? Because even with the best offer, you can have the best positioning, you can have the best indoctrination series the world has ever seen. If somebody sees it, if nobody sees it, it's more accurate, then how exactly are they going to enter into this and become a client? And that's what I want to cover in the next episode. I think it's episode 4. I'm going to take you through the omnipresent growth flywheel. That is a system that will help you to attract attention, generate interest and demand, and consistently bring you qualified people into your world every single day without you needing to chase leads, chase sales, convince anybody. Again, this is a lifestyle business series. This is about creating simple ways to attract, nurture, and convert high-ticket clients into your business so that you can scale to 10, 20, 30K per month or whatever your goals are. So I'll see you in episode 4, where I'll take you through the omnipresent growth flywheel. Appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.